myself and my co-producer or assistant producer Oscar decided to do some drone shots coming off of the glass elevator. And there's a great shot, beautiful shot in the film I'm really happy with, where the drone sort of flies around and tracks Marshall as he comes around one of the bends.
We're happy with it too, by the way.
Yeah.
It makes our...
It was brilliant, but that drone never came back. It carried on going. It flew. It carried on going, and that was day one of the race. So, yeah, I watched it fly off, and essentially jumped in a panic straight over the barrier and started going after it. An hour and a half later, when the sun was coming down, I thought, it's got GPS. I just went back up, looked at the GPS tracker, found out that it was, I mean, we had to drive a good 45 minutes around, so we came through here and out into some, I mean, we ended up some guy's ranch. You know, it was in the dried up kind of, it looks like a dried up, what would have been a river or a waterfall back in there. And I just went legging it into there. It was one of those strange things where I was like, oh, this is how I'll die. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm traipsing through there and I'm going past a little sign that says, you know, we've got guns, like, keep out or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, this will be it. Or a bear will come out and get me, all just to get there.
That's right at the beginning.
I know, right at the beginning. Marshall would have been like, where's the other part of the team? And be like, eaten by a bear, just carry on. You got the race across America to do.
So how did the film initially get started? What kind of got you guys going as far as making it happen?
Well, what happened with our film, it's very much, Marshall wanted to do the race across America. It was his huge 50th birthday present to himself, and it was a really big investment from just doing the race perspective. He approached me to film as a producer and a director. I worked with him at an old TV network, our old TV network, and he wanted basically me to capture the race for him, just to capture it, and to crew as well, essentially, you know, be there to drive and stuff. And I got my friend Oscar on board, and I was like, this is great, because Oscar and I don't see each other very often, so we'll be there and we'll have plenty of time to catch up while also helping Marshall. None of us really knew the scale of what we were getting into, because Marshall was the only person who knew how insane this thing really was.
So you kind of went into it a little
bit
ignorant,
very blind.
Naive, yeah?
We arrive, and this is the same with the whole crew. This is from the crew chief to I think his family as well. Really got understanding of what the scale of this thing was when they arrived in Oceanside, and we had a day and a half together of orientation. The rule book was this thick, you know.
Wait, so less than 48 hours for a cross country?
Completely, yeah. Because but this is the thing. Marshall's.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
Well, it was. I think from Marshall's perspective, like, he's such a. As he says in the film, he's a bit of a control freak, you know. He thinks about so much detail, but he had it all up there in his head. But when you're cycling in the race across America, you're completely disconnected from the machine. The machine that drives you is the crew, the vans, all the nutrition that we've got on board, how we're gonna, you know, make sure that we're alongside, because we have to feed him outside the window and stuff like this. He just needs to pedal until he falls asleep, and then pedal, and that was the idea. And I think what we learned from it was that you know, that probably that lack of understanding of the scale of what we would be dealing with from like a personal perspective, the fatigue and all that kind of thing, meant that we weren't prepared for, you know, to really be able to keep him going as strongly as we could, especially at the beginning of the race, which he explains. It sets him back. You know, he's 12 hours behind by the time we get to Durango in Colorado. So,
but he's still optimistic. He says
always, absolutely, and we were there the whole way, trying to be as optimistic as possible as well. Like, I'm a very optimistic person anyway, and when you're in the middle of a 12-day race with a man who's given everything and giving everything every night, I didn't see any room for negativity, and I think that the negativity that did seep into the race came from our crew chief, which had an adverse effect on everything we were trying to do, on the crew, on him, and on the effort to achieve what he wanted to do, which was purely, we just wanted to get him to the finish line. That was what we were there to do, not for any other reason.
Do you think it was beneficial for you guys to have such a small production crew, as far as that goes, and working dual time with helping him out while making the film?
Well,
how does that all kind of come together?
Well, I hope that from what you get from the film is a real sense of sort of being in and amongst it, and to make it bearable from that perspective, because that can be quite gritty sometimes in terms of like, oh bloody hell, where are we? The camera's over here and then there, and what am I seeing? Is, you know, the aerial footage, the interviews. You know, he tells a great story straight to you. So I knew it was more about trying to work with the restrictions, the fact that I was going to be driving for 12 hours a day,
Yeah.
and I could only have a small camera that could literally I could flick on with one hand and be shooting, and also we couldn't charge things up, so it was either his GPS tracker or it was my camera batteries, and that were plugged into the
Is that right?
into the
So, yeah,
firelight,
just-
into the ashtray thing, whatever, the electric socket of the van. So, if there could have been moments. I mean, it was quite fortunate actually that the most dramatic things that happened, I was able to be there for one, be on shift driving, and also have the cameras charged up and ready to go, and so when it came to actually putting the film together, it was very much looking back and saying, what did we get?
Right.
What did we mine from this amazing experience, and how much, and then as you see the film, Marshall's narrative to it and narration and interview is key, and he just tells a great story from that perspective of being the guy who went through it.
And I just wanted to ask because I feel like your film has kind of like this raw energy to it, right? And I think I get a sense of why that is, because you're trying to be two things at once, a filmmaker and a support team, and it just has kind of like that kind of just momentum to it.
Yeah, and I hope that's quite. I always, when you're making a film about a man who's not literally, doesn't stop moving for 2 weeks, that film couldn't really stop moving. And the only time, in terms of its energy, and the moment that he physically does stop moving, you have the drama that occurs in those moments, because I think otherwise the film. I don't know. I don't watch a lot of cycling films or that revolve around cycling. I'm not a cycling enthusiast, apart from I like to ride a bike, but I'm not like sort of an obsessive person like that. So I wanted it to be a film that would be interesting and entertaining to anyone, whether you like cycling or not, because it's not really about cycling. It's about a guy trying to achieve something crazy, and also the way he brings family and friends alongside him to do it, rather than professionals. The people we were alongside racing against, they had Winnebagos full of medical teams, and they're doing the same race, and they have experience as well, which we didn't have. We were a rookie crew, rookie rider, 12 days, over 3,000 miles, and just learning as we went, which was where all the drama comes from in the film, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. What other types of films have you been a part of? How does this one in particular fit into all of that?
Well, from a sort of a film perspective, I'm a relative rookie as well, but I've been making television shows and television documentaries for a long time. So 30 minutes, maybe 60 minutes for TV format. So when it comes to these things where you can go and do a passion project or anything like that, I've made a couple of short films, a couple of narrative shorts, usually dark comedies, but that I'm not sort of restricting myself to that, and I plan to go forward and make a drama here or a straightforward comedy there.
Well, you mentioned passion projects, so this particular production has that feel to it, right?
Yeah.
So do you foresee yourself doing that again anytime soon?
Yeah, well, actually, the funny thing is, I'm here now at the festival, and this week I've been filming for what is essentially a passion project as well. I hope to get funding for it based off what we've filmed this week, but a new documentary, probably a feature film length, if not a series, a documentary series, and it's been, and everything I learned from putting together this film is sort of is helping me come to terms with how I'm planning production for this and entering into production for this one as well. So as much as the Race Across America was a passion project, and it was my first feature documentary, it's informed me massively in terms of going forwards and now planning for the next one as well.
Wonderful. Well, good luck.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
And thanks for coming to the film festival.
Yeah,
Thank
of course.
you so much for submitting the film.
Oh, I'm thank you for selecting it. I've been
How could we not?
I've been so, but I've been so desperate to show this, especially with this audience as well, where we just driving in here drove like I said, the glass elevator, and it brought back an awful lot of memories. I had to FaceTime Oscar, who's my assistant producer and camera operator as well, and just remind him of that drone loss moment,
right.
and the weird, crazy hike we went
scramble.
on. Yeah, but no, I'm very much looking forward to seeing it with the audience as well.